Nothing you do can make you more worthy than you already are, because you were worthy enough to be chosen by God Almighty to be born and live 25 years, 30 years, and be here day after day as part of His master plan. You're part of His master plan. What did you do to deserve that? Nothing. So there's like nothing you're going to do here is going to make you more or less worthy to begin with. So stop worrying about what have I accomplished? What have I done to make myself worthy? What do I deserve? It's just, who am I here to serve? I'm here for a reason. Most of the time, if you open your eyes and you look around your life, whatever your life is right now, you'll find some things that need some help.
Hey, I'm Esther, and you are listening to On Your Own, the podcast for Jewish girls living away from home. Each week we bring you an inspiring person or message to help you confidently navigate life on your own, so you can achieve real growth and independence and take ownership of this foundational stage of your life. For additional resources, tips, and to stay up to date on future episodes, sign up for the On Your Own newsletter, linked below in the description. Looking forward to spending some time with you today. And now, to this week's episode. We are entering into the second month of Adar. We got 60 days this year, which is double Simcha. And I wanted to start by asking you about your personal definition of happiness. What does it mean to be happy?
Yeah, beautiful. Very important question. Adar, 60 days of Simcha, where we can batul b'shishim, all of the negativity. We can drown out all the negative with 60 days of happiness. But what on earth is happiness? So I think this is a very big misconception, actually, and it's rooted in maybe even something as basic as the American Declaration of Independence. We have this concept of pursuing happiness, doing something that's going to make me happy, and the entire American mind is really structured around this concept. We're going to go pursue happiness. Well, where does this pursuit happen, right? Where are the grounds where I'm going to find the happiness? What do I have to do to find the happiness? And yet, we never define what happiness really is. So, the moment we define it proper, all of a sudden things start to make a whole bunch more sense. And then we'll be able to figure out things like, what does happiness have to do with Adar specifically? And why do we have things like Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve God with joy, with happiness, right? Who is wealthy? Someone who is sameach b'chelko. The first thing we got to do is understand what happiness is, and then figure out what's right and wrong about happiness and how it applies in these situations. So the first thing is, let's do a definition. If I have what I need, I'm content. I have what I need. If I have more than what I need, I feel wealthy. I feel expansive. I have even more money than I need. It's a feeling of wealth. Happiness is the realization that I didn't do anything to deserve the thing that I'm getting. When I realize that the thing that I'm getting is for free, you're overwhelmed with happiness, right? If I work for $20 an hour and my boss pays me $20 an hour, I feel content. I feel justified. If he pays me $10 an hour, then I'll feel incensed. If he pays me $200 an hour out of the blue, even though we agreed $20 an hour, I'm just going to be blown away with a feeling of happiness. I just won the lottery. I deserve $20 an hour, but nothing I did deserves $200 an hour. That feeling of getting something that you don't deserve, that's the root of happiness. It's not an ice cream sundae, that's a pleasure. It's not a brilliant idea, that's a pleasure. It's not a vacation, that's a pleasure. We've really turned it into the pursuit of pleasure, you could say. Happiness is the sensation that I'm getting something I didn't do anything to deserve. Very interrelated with gratitude. I didn't deserve. Nothing I did, and that's why happiness is so poorly defined as a pursuit. It's really a state of mind. There's nothing you can pursue that's going to make you feel grateful, because the more you do, the more you'll feel like you deserve. So the harder you work, the more expectant you are of the outcome. It's inversely, that's why the harder people work, the less happy they get. America's been pursuing happiness for 300 years. Everyone's miserable. Yep. Because it's not about the accomplishment. It's actually the inverse. It's the realization that this thing that I have right now, the fact that I'm breathing, there's nothing I did to deserve to be born. There's nothing I did to deserve to wake up today. In fact, my yesterday was so sketchy that, the fact that God gave me another day, it's even a bigger simcha. That's why the worse I do, the happier I get, because it's just so unbelievable that I've gotten all this for free.
I have a lot of questions on this because I've never actually heard happiness defined in this way before. The most common way I've heard happiness described is that it's just this feeling. But would you say it's a feeling that comes from having received more than you expected? Like, would that sum up what you said in terms of what's the happiness itself? Like, once you're in a state of happiness, what's actually going on?
Yeah. Well, it's I would almost think of it as it's not just a emotion, because it comes from this intellectual idea. It comes from this thought. So it's this integrated being. It's like a state of being. You wake up in the morning and our first thought is, Modeh ani. Wow, I can't believe I get another day. And it's a thought that turns into a feeling, that turns into an action. And then all of our day is flowing with these positive actions because we're in such a good state of being, because our mind is realizing that it's all a gift, and our emotions are reacting to that in the proper way, which is to say, excitedly, buoyantly, right? A person who's happy floats. A person who's depressed sinks, right? And then you can think of it, in that, think of the heaviness of depression. It's described as feeling very heavy. I can't get out of bed. The happy person jumps out of bed. Okay? What's holding that person down is this heaviness of, I'm not getting what I deserve. I deserve more. And it could be very, I'm not actualizing my potential. It could be a very depressing thought. Right? And a person might think that thought's a very holy thought, because I have this potential, I'm not actualizing it, I should be depressed. It's like, where do you think you got that potential? That's not your potential. You were given that potential for free. Even the fact that you're sensitive enough to want to achieve your potential is a gift. There are some people who don't even think about their potential at all. A dog doesn't contemplate its potential. just dogs. The gift of being able to want to achieve is not yours. So don't take it so personally. You're not achieving your potential. It's not your potential. It's a gift that you were given. Today you did great. Today you didn't do so good. It's still for free. It's still a gift.
The fact that we're even able to think about our potential means that we're not, people who are in really impoverished situations are not thinking about their potential. They're thinking about their next meal. So that is just the fact that we have time to think about that means that we're in a privileged state, probably. It's also reminding me of something I just read about the 1950s in America, how they're glorified as like the happy days when everyone was just, wealthy and successful and everyone had their house and their gate and their kids and their money and their car. But if you compare how much people were making then versus now, adjusted for inflation, they were making way less money. Their houses were smaller. They had way worse access to healthcare. They were worse off by basically every metric than we are today, but their expectations were way lower than they are today because there was a lot more equality. There wasn't this like huge gap between rich and poor like we have today. So everyone kind of just expected what their neighbor had and they had what their neighbor had. Whereas today, especially with social media and also just because the wealthier people kept getting wealthier and the poorer kept getting poorer, there's this gap. And so we look at today as being worse off than the 1950s when it's actually better by every metric. So that's super interesting. What you're saying about expectations.
Yeah. Expectations are really a danger word, right? Because built into the word is expect, right? What do you expect? I expect to have what my neighbor has. He has it. I also expect to have it. Bad train of thought, right? Ezehu ashir hasameach bechalko. What makes the poor person happy or the rich person happy? It's so funny, right? The Pirkei Avos is, who is wealthy, right? And then it does this bait and switch. Who is wealthy? Whoever's happy. It's like, wait a minute. We're talking about money. Well, obviously, whoever's wealthy is whoever has the most money in the bank, right? The Pirkei Avos is not telling us who's wealthy in terms of cash money, because you just need to look at their bank. He's really wealthy. What's happening in the Pirkei Avos, that it's teaching us this moral agenda, is that no matter how much money you have in the bank, if you expect to have it, if you feel like you deserve to have it, if you feel like you deserve more, you'll never be happy, because you'll think of this money as being a byproduct of your efforts. The fact that you're sameach bechelko means I'm grateful and thankful for the fact that this money, to me, feels like an inheritance, feels like a gift. So it doesn't really matter how much or how little I have. I can be happy if I realize that to have anything at all is a gift, right? To be alive is a gift. To have a family is a gift. It's like, look around, all the different things that I might have, and here's the thing where we get confused. I might have worked hard on my relationship with my wife. I might work hard to be a father or as a father. But the fact that I got to become a father, it's like, it's a gift. Not everyone gets to become a father, right? Not everyone gets, if we hadn't been born, do you think we'd be angry about it? You think we'd be, our neshama's up there. Why haven't we been born yet? It's so depressing up here in Gan Eden, just floating around, enjoying God's presence. It's the fact that we got to be here, such a gift. And you touched on something very interesting, that to take it one step deeper. This idea of like the 1950s, where we had all our needs met and we could just be happy because we had our white picket fence and everything. And you mentioned like the person in Africa who almost doesn't have the luxury to be happy. He's running after his next meal. Let's pull that apart for a second, because there's some very important insights. That's so the first level, what is happiness? The feeling and understanding that the things that I have in my life are for free, that life itself is for free. My neshama is for free. My neshima is for free. My soul and my breath. It's like, just one more analogy. If I invite you to my house, you get to be a guest in my house. The seminary that came to our house this past Shabbos, we had a whole seminary come to our house for Shabbos. They're sleeping all over the city, coming to our house for the meals. Beautiful Shabbos. Now, if they come into the house and are grumpy, I can't believe we had to walk up 8 flights of stairs, which they did. It's kind of annoying. It's like, well, you got to come to our house. If they come in happy that they get to be at our house, it's so endearing. It warms our heart, the hosts, to see that getting to be in our house is a pleasure for them. This touches on the importance of simcha in our life as a Jew, because simcha is very interesting. What's the moral condition? It's not a mitzvah that says you have to be happy. There's a statement, serve God with joy. But it's not one of the 613 mitzvahs. You don't have to be happy, right? Why isn't a person entitled to their misery? Why do we are not comfortable? They're entitled to their opinion. They're also entitled to be miserable. You say, no, you're not entitled to be miserable. You got to be happy. We will make you happy. What's happening? The Baal Shem Tov says, there is nothing in the Torah that is more powerful than joy and more damaging than sadness. He says there's one mitzvah that one thing that's not a mitzvah, but that's worth more than all the mitzvahs, and there's one thing that's not a sin, but that's worse than all the sins. The joy is the motivation, and the sadness is it's worse than all the sins. Why? Because in order to make yourself feel good, being so depressed, you're going to go dabble in all of the different things that maybe you're not supposed to do. Why is it so important? It's because of this feeling. You're a guest in God's world. He invited you for nothing that you did. You didn't pay for it. You didn't deserve it. You're just here on a free trip. It's birthright life. It's a 120-year birthright trip. You ever seen someone sad on birth? They might be tired, but they're having a blast because they didn't do anything to deserve this trip. And they get to go all over Israel and have a blast. We didn't do anything to deserve this life. And here we are. So to be sad in God's house, on His invitation, when He's giving us all this for free, it's not nice. So that's why it's so important. So let me preface with an idea. A question. Why does the human condition lend itself to this optionality of being sad versus being happy? It's a very unique condition. And it's going to give a big insight into what's happening in Adar that makes it such a month of joy. Everything that exists in the world, in some sense, is content with its existence. The cow is content to be a cow. The table, content to be a table. The sun, very powerful, is content to be the sun. It's not struggling in its role as the sun. Comes along the human being, right? And we suddenly have this struggle, this discontent. We're somehow not satisfied with our role. We want more, right? And where do you find that struggle begin? Fascinatingly, it happens once we've secured our existence, right? To your point before about the person in Africa who doesn't have the luxury of being happy or sad, depressed. He's fighting for his, his existence is on the line. So he's scrambling to secure his existence. Where do you find the depression start? Once the existence has been secured. It's only once my existence is solid, aka America, that I look around and say, well, why do I exist? What is the purpose of my existence? I'm discontent with just existing. No other entity in the world has this moment of discontent with its existence other than a human being. And that's because we were created in the image of God. God also existed, and he existed perfectly. He existed, and, you could actually say the first thing he created was existence, just to be technically right? God created existence. He didn't really exist in this, but let's not get caught up on details. God existed, and he existed perfectly. And somehow that perfect existence that God had wasn't enough. And he went and created a world and created man in his image to have a relationship with him and said, I want to have a connection with you. I want a mitzvah from the word tzavta to connect us so that we can be in a relationship. Wasn't satisfied with his existence. He was interested in having a life. And these two terms, life and existence, these are the two fundamental ideas that, besides gratitude and thankfulness for getting a free ride, that really frame the discussion about happiness. Because as long as I'm focused on my existence, I can never be happy. When I start to focus on my life, that's where the happiness is really going to come from. And just to differentiate those two, so you can, a blessing that we all know well, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu. Right? We have these two constructs. We have life and existence. And fascinatingly, Chazal put the living before the existing. Even though seemingly existing is a prerequisite to living,
right?
Chazal says, living is where the money's at. Existing, nishtehin nishteher. So, got to think how that connects to happiness, but I'll just pause there and see what kind of thought you have on that.
Yeah. So a lot of things are coming up. I want to first go back to the first thing that you were saying about expectations, because it really sounds on paper like just the perfect formula. Just don't expect anything. Everything then is a bonus. And then we know that bonuses make us happy. It sounds so simple, but it's really not simple. I feel like growing up, even for myself, I was taught like you deserve the world. That's kind of like what we're taught, that you deserve everything. And so to have that switch of like, no, actually I deserve nothing and everything is a bonus, especially when at the same time we're seeing other people getting more than us in different areas. Or if we did expect things to be a certain way, we had an image in our head and then that didn't work out the way we thought. How do we remind ourselves of this practically in those moments?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, as Scott Fitzgerald said, there's nothing as annoying as someone else's good fortune. You're sitting here struggling, and the guy next to you.
It's sad but true.
The first thing I would say is, it's not as hard as you think. It's not as hard as you think. Give it a shot. You got nothing to lose, and you got everything to gain. Because when you realize that there is nothing you deserve, it's really all a gift. All the burdens that come along with meeting those expectations, fulfilling all the needs of the existence that I think is important, they all just drift away. And you're left with this core of just joyful being. Now, everyone's going to, knee-jerk reaction is going to be, well, then why don't we just sit on the couch and just enjoy? Great question. And that's because you might not need anything, but you're needed for something. You have no needs. You have nothing that, you deserve or don't deserve or is, but you're here. And this goes to this concept that we were discussing about existence and living. Existence, the definition of existence is that it takes up something that takes up space. The definition of living is the effect that something has on its environment, the effect that it has on others, right? So everything in the world has these two properties. It has its existence and it has its life, right? The stone has an existence, takes up space, can't put another stone on top, in the same spot, but it also has a life. What's the life of a stone? It's to be strong and sturdy, right? A house made out of stones is stronger than a house made out of straw, as we know from non-kosher sources. I don't know, do they have that storybook where you come from? The wolf.
No. I'm from South Africa.
I was going to say, because that usually gets a giggle. You're from South Africa?
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, the three little pigalach and the big bad wolf, and he comes and blows their house down. Okay.
Okay, got it.
The life of the fire is to warm and to pull apart. So what's your effect on the world around you? Everyone's so focused on their experience, their needs, their existence, their happiness. Am I happy? Is this happy? Have I pursued happiness enough? Have I achieved my happiness? It's like, let's just take a blank sheet of paper. You got a free trip. None of this is your responsibility. None of this is your call. None of these things that you think you need are really your needs, because you didn't create yourself. You didn't create yourself to need to sleep. Sleep is something that God needs you to do. That's why He gave it to you, right? It's His issue. If it was up to me, I would never create myself to have to sleep 30% of my life away, right? I don't want to sleep.
Yeah.
I want to stop sleeping, except I get so tired. So I go to sleep, right? I want to have shelter. I want to have a big house. Okay, well, I don't want to have a big house. God wants me to have a big house, because in a big house, I can host people for Shabbos. And the Gemara says, if you don't have a house, you don't feel like a person. Where are my kids going to sleep, right? It's not my issue. So I can step back and say, I'm here for free. I got a free birthright trip for life. Someone else, God, is going to be responsible for taking care of all of my needs, because He's the one who gave them to me, right? No other animal in the world goes out and gets a job. We're the Bachir of creation. We're the pinnacle of creation, created 30 seconds before Shabbos, because we're the crown of creation. And we're the only one who spends years of our life training to get a job. It's just so funny. The monkey wakes up in the morning and finds a banana. We can't figure it out. Years of schooling. Learn math, learn science. Why? Because one day you're going to need a job. What do I need a job? Because you need to make money. What do I do with the money? I have to buy food. But the monkey is eating the bananas. Well, we got to take those bananas and put them in the grocery store and charge you $15 a pound. It's just so silly. When Mashiach comes, it says we're not going to have a job. We're not going to need to go buy food. The food's going to grow outside of our window. We're going to pick it off the kol echad tachat te'enato. Everyone's going to be under their date vine, and they're just going to pick up the fruit and eat it. And the reason we need money and we need to be in business and have all this stuff that's been imposed upon us is because God designed a system that forces me to leave my cave and come knock on your cave and knock on your cave door and say, anyone in here need chad pa'ami plastics? Because I'm selling and you're buying because your chad pa'ami just ran out. So now we get to meet. And I say, well, is there anything else you need? You say, I would love single-use tablecloths made out of plastic that you can throw away when you're done. And I'll say, that is the greatest idea of all time. Let's go into business. We'll patent that. We'll sell it to the Frum Yidden that have big families, and we'll make a fortune. And all of a sudden, we're in business. And I do think since sliced challah, that is the greatest invention mankind has known. The single use. Well, why do we need to be in business? Not because we need money, but because we need each other. Right? God doesn't want me to stay in my cave. He wants me to come on your podcast. He wants me to come into your store. He wants us to be connected because he wants to be connected. This is all about him. And what a joy it is.
If it's all about God, then why can't it also be all about us if we're in his image? We could take it the other way as well.
Right.
That he's doing all of this for him. And so, but then we're supposed to not do anything for ourselves and not expect anything.
Yeah.
That's a bit hard.
That's what makes it a beautiful relationship. We spend all our time thinking about him. He spends all his time thinking about us. What keeps God up at night? Shidduchim of nice Jewish boys and nice Jewish girls. He can't go to sleep at night because maybe there's someone who hasn't found their besher yet. Right? A husband, and unfortunately, my wife and I have been involved in some marriage counseling. And one of the things that I hear a lot that's very indicative of a problem is when the husband starts talking about his relationship with his wife as some sort of sacrifice. It's like, that's not a good sign, Human sacrifice has been, we're way past that. This should not be a sacrifice. You taking care of your wife's needs is not a sacrifice. It's who you are as a husband, right? If you're not sensitive to her needs, then you're not even really married. Like, I got to look out for myself, and she comes in, I got to look out for myself, and we'll compromise. It's like, no one's married here. Marriage means your needs become mine, and my needs become yours. As long as we're stuck in our own needs in any relationship, we're going to be miserable. We're going to be miserable if we're stuck in our relationship with our boss, right? We're in a job, and I'm sitting there the whole day thinking, well, what is this job doing for me? How is this job advancing my career? You're in big trouble. You're going to get rocked. You're not a good employee, and you're not going to get promoted. You're not, what's the inverse of that? The person comes to work. He's, so happy that he got this job that he did not deserve, which is how we all feel when we get a new job. And we just go, what can I do to help? And all of a sudden, he's helping over here, he's helping over there, she's helping over here, she's helping over there. And pretty soon, what's happening? They're sending more and more responsibilities to this gal because she's so helpful, because she's so excited to try to meet the needs of the business in any way she can, that not only does she get more responsibilities and expand her skill set, but pretty quickly, she's being promoted. Because someone like that who puts the needs of the company first, for sure we want them in management. For sure we want to give them more, But what happens? 15 minutes in, we're looking over our shoulder. What have they done for me lately? Because I deserve, I expect, I. Yeah. And then you're in big trouble. That's the Jews going to Achashverosh's party. Right? Why is Adar such a joy? We go to the party because we think that he's going to take care of our needs. He's going to protect us. And God, there's a Hasidic teaching that says the real sin of the Jews in Purim that deserved to get, annihilated wasn't that they went to the party, wasn't even that they ate or drank from the party with all this, the situation that was there. The real problem was that they were so grateful and excited to be invited to the king's party. And God looked down and said, you're excited to be invited to his party? What about my party? I gave you you want to go to his party. And he basically just said, okay, go to his party. Let him run the show.
Let him take care of you.
Take care of you. And immediately the Jews get besieged on all sides because we're, a lamb surrounded by 70 wolves. And the second, we're into the hands of the natural order. But what's interesting, if you notice, we didn't actually do anything wrong. We just felt and thought the wrong things. So the punishment wasn't that something actually bad happened. It just felt and thought like something bad was going to happen. Isn't that cool? That the punishment met the crime.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I never heard that before. Just this year I learned that, that the punishment met the crime. They just thought wrong, so they felt threatened, right? They felt excited, they felt threatened. They didn't actually eat not kosher, chas v'shalom. So they didn't actually, chas v'shalom, get annihilated.
Right.
And so what's the happiness?
But the threat was enough of a
threat was
a
enough, was a punishment. And so what's the happiness? Nichnas Adar marbin b'simcha. We're so grateful to be in God's party. At the end of the day, we want to be in his party. We want to be responsive to his. I am so grateful to be in a relationship with my wife. So we got married in Adar. So my personal Adar is Nichnas Adar, Marbin. It's the anniversary month. Wow, gives me a whole month to 2 months. Woo! What did I deserve to get this gal? What did I deserve to get these kids? Man, simcha.
But at the same time, if you really feel that way, which I guess we can call like true humility, you might then not get seek out the best girl because you don't deserve anything anyway. Like, I may as well just get anybody because what do I deserve? So how do we also make sure that we're expecting the best for ourselves without expecting?
Well, can you get a different girl? Can you marry? Right?
What do you mean?
If I have high expectations, I'll marry girl A. And if I have low expectations, I'll marry girl A. Because she's my wife. And I can only marry my wife. So she's my soulmate, right? Her soul and mine were united before we were born and were pulled apart, just like Adam and Eve, and put into these two different bodies. And whatever expectations I have, she's still my wife. So the only thing I have to do when I'm dating is try to find, I don't know, again, this is a book reference that might not have made it across the pond to South Africa, but, are you my mother? Are you my mother? Are you my wife? You go on a date, third date, are you my wife? Okay, enough talk. Are you my wife? I have all these are you my wife? And if she said, I don't think so, then you got to call it off because she's probably someone else's wife.
Red flag.
Red flag. She's someone else's wife, and it's not nice to date other people's wives, right? That's a big klal of dating. Don't date other people's wives. So the moment you realize she's not your wife, expectation, you got to say no. She could be the greatest girl ever, but there's something about it that doesn't work. She doesn't feel like she's mine. So
you're going to get what
you're going to get what you deserve because Hashem's going to give it to you. And the less you expect before you get it, the happier you're going to be once you get it. That's what I'm hearing.
You're going to get what you get, and you don't get upset. You're not exactly what you deserve. That's what you heard. Yeah, they give that in the birth certificate, in the hospital here in Israel. That expression. You're not going to get what you deserve. You're going to get what's meant for you. Because remember, from the very beginning, there's nothing you did to deserve life. You did not choose to be. You did not prove to someone. And this is the big mental, and I hear where the tension's coming from, because our entire life we've been trying to prove ourselves in this system to our teachers, to our parents, that we're worthy of their love and their adoration and their acceptance. I have to prove myself to get into the seminary, right? How sick is that, right? I gotta have I have to write a resume for my shidduch, I have to prove that I'm worthy of being married. It's like you weren't even worthy of this. You didn't even do anything to deserve to be born. You think you need to be worthy of being married? You're meant to be married, so you'll get married. You're meant to go to seminary, so you're going to go to seminary. It's not what you deserve, right? It's who am I here to serve? Look at that. It's not what I deserve, it's who am I here to serve. I'm here on a free trip. Does anybody need my help? Does anyone need my advice? For the most part, the answer is no. So I try to help where I can. Do you need help with the dishes? I can do the dishes. You need help cleaning the house? I'm not so good, but I'll give it my best shot, right? Do people need help buying and selling property in America? Guess who knows how to buy and sell property in America? This guy. Well, now we're in business. You need help. I know something. Let's trade. Let's talk. That's why I was given this knowledge. That's why I was given this sensitivity, right? It's so liberating. It's so liberating. Nothing you do can make you more worthy than you already are, because you were worthy enough to be chosen by God Almighty to be born and live 25 years, 30 years, and be here day after day as part of His master plan. You're part of His master plan. What did you do to deserve that? Nothing. So there's nothing you're going to do here is going to make you more or less worthy to begin with. So stop worrying about what have I accomplished, what have I done to make myself worthy, what do I deserve. It's just, who am I here to serve? I'm here for a reason. Most of the time, if you open your eyes and you look around your life, whatever your life is right now, you'll find some things that need some help, right? I wake up in the morning, look around and say, is anyone making any money in this family? Nope. All right, I'll go try.
Why does taking care of ourselves and our own needs and focusing on that make us miserable, but helping other people make us happy? Why is that?
That is the secret sauce. That is the secret sauce right there. Why is that? I think because all of that working on myself focus is, how do I maintain or increase or improve my existence? And existence is just depressing. The fact that I take up space is so depressing. It's so uninspiring. I take up space. What did you do all day? I took up space. I'm a bump on a log. It's just so depressing. It's so heavy. It's so existence. Conversely, life is so alive, right? Life comes in one flavor, delicious. To be alive. And remember, what's our definition? The effect that I have on the world around me, right? The stone has an effect on the world around it. It has a life. The Jew, the person, the husband, the wife, the child, what's the effect that I have on the world around me? And it's so liberating. It's so freeing. It's a fire. It's an energy, And this is why, very interesting, why we say l'chaim on Purim, right? What is a perfect example, right? How many, I know this example personally, being a college boy from Ohio. How many sober people can fit on a couch? 3, 4. How many drunk people can fit on a couch?
I'm not
You're
sure.
not sure. This is not a big thing in the seminaries. But in the fraternities, it's a lot, right? I once saw on campus at a pregame, it's called, for the big football game, a bunch of people, basically drunk, tried to see how many people they could fit in a small car. And it was just unreal. There were 15, 17 people stuffed in this tiny car. So it was so Ohio. It just captured my college experience in a nutshell. When you say l'chaim, when you get drunk, people get this wrong. Very interesting. People drink because they think it'll help them lose their inhibitions. And you do not want to lose your inhibitions when you drink. That's what gets you into trouble. Bad idea. What you do when you drink is you lose your existence. You stop taking up so much space. Your needs stop taking up so much space. On Purim, our existence was threatened. It was almost annihilated. So what do? We say, Azov, leave your existence in the dust. Say l'chaim, ad delo yada. You don't know what I deserve, what I need. All that existence gets wiped away, and all you do the whole day is focus on life. You focus on Chaim. That's why you say l'chaim. In America, and this is perfectly aligned with our topic today, in America, the highest idol, the highest ideal is this pursuit of happiness. So what do we say when we drink? Cheers, right? Be happy. If you're not happy, you get out. We have no space for someone who's not happy in America, because it's all about happy. I don't know about South Africa, but in South America, what do they say? What does the normal world say when they drink? In France, to your health. Because they're saying, okay, well, maybe I'm not happy, but at least I'm healthy. At least we have our health. Abi gesund. The Jew comes along and says, happy? Healthy? Sometimes yes, B'ezrat Hashem, sometimes no. But the fact that I'm here for another day means that I have something to give. I'm needed. I have a life. I have an effect on the world around me. One more day, l'chaim. I might not have a very good existence. I might be broke, right? Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof is broke, but we all love him, the character, Would it mess up God's plan if I was a wealthy man, Why do we love him? Because he might be broke, but he's full of life. Because he loves living. He happens to love complaining. That's what makes him happy. And that's very Jewish. Jews love to complain. But we love to complain because we love life. We're obsessed with life. Every other country in the world focused on their existence, being a big country, the Romans, we're very small. We don't have much of an existence. I was saying this to the seminary girls, there's this expression in American history, give me liberty or give me death. It's like, well, that is not a Jewish concept. Liberty.
Right.
We have, when was the last time we had liberty? We've never had liberty. Imagine if that was our slogan. That was the motto.
We wouldn't be
We
here.
wouldn't be here.
We'd be long gone.
Liberty, who cares? L'chaim. We've got life. We've got something much more valuable and precious than liberty. There are times when I don't feel at liberty to speak. I'm not at liberty to do what I want. But every moment I'm here, I have a chance to make a difference in the world around me. I have a chance to make a difference to my kind. I have a chance to make a difference to my wife. I have a chance to make a difference to my God. I can give him something that he wants. Ratzon Hashem, something he wants. He wants me to put tefillin. Okay, so it messes up my existence. I can't go to work, right away in the morning. I got to go to shul. But, it's God. He gives me everything. Give him 15 minutes in the morning, put on tefillin. My children wake me up at night, ruin my existence. Can't sleep. No time to eat. Don't even mention the wife. The vow under the chuppah should be, you are the one I am choosing to ruin my existence. But it's such a joy. And in fact, it's exactly what God did. Who needs existence? The bacher, has the entire apartment to himself. And then he invites his wife into his life. And now he's got to share that space with her. What happened to his existence? He had to contract his existence to fit in the apartment together with this other person, his wife. God took up all the space. And then, what did he do? Contracted his existence to make room for us in his life. What do we call that in Chassidus or Kabbalah? What is that called? Tzimtzum. He took up a little less space to have us in the game. Wow. We'll do the same. We'll celebrate Purim. Take up a little bit less space this year. Take up a little bit less space on the couch. Focus on our l'chaim. For one day of the year, we drink to it. But the whole year can be Purim. Can be Ad Lo Yada. Deserve, me, expectations. It's all a free birthright trip. And look how blessed I am. I've got children. I've got a wife. I've got a great seminary that's teaching me Torah. I've got parents that love me and care for me. I have none of the above. I'm homeless, broke, orphan. God forbid. It's like, but I'm here. Must be someone needs me. Must be someone is waiting on my call. Must be something I can do to help. Help make this world more godly. Help make this world more lichtig. Ivdu et Hashem besimcha. The fact that I can serve God, wow, it's more like a prophecy. It's like you get to serve God, automatically you're going to be filled with joy. And joy itself is the service. The fact that I get to be here for you, what could be better than that? Until you came along, all I had to think about was myself. That's why everyone wants to get married so much. We're so sick of existing, right? That's how you know when you're ready to get married. The seminary girls always ask me, when am I ready to get married? I said, when you get sick of yourself. If you still find yourself fascinating, don't get married. Yeah, hang out with yourself more until you're so fed up with yourself. You're so fed up with who you are. You realize, maybe I could take care of someone else for a change. Maybe I could worry about someone else. Maybe I could focus on someone else's needs. I could do that. I'm kind of over my needs. I need this, I need that. Not so exciting. Who could I take care of? Sweet, no?
Yeah, I like that. I don't think that's what I was thinking when I got engaged.
Yeah.
I also got engaged in Adar, actually.
Oh, very nice.
I was in seminary, 19, and I was just, it just happened.
Just happened.
But I'm coming to that slowly.
Well, there you go.
Slowly realizing. I've been looking back recently in my diaries from COVID time when I was married, but like didn't have kids and we both weren't working, and just like my mom was cooking for us. And I look back then, I was just so miserable.
Right.
I was like, I now wish I could go back there. Like now I've got kids and I don't have time for anything. And then I read my diary and it's like, no, I don't wish that. I was so miserable. It's so interesting how it works. Yeah. It's very counterintuitive, but it's true.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example. And it's so cool that you documented that so you can actually look and say, no. All this stuff that everyone's saying about retiring on the beach with a Mai Tai, and put your feet up and not have anything to do, it's all a big scam. It's all a big scam to make you miserable. No. Let the load weigh heavy on you. Taking care of those kinderlach is not a sacrifice. It's you. It's who you are. It's the mother in you. And then there's the wife in you. And then there's the podcaster in you. And all of these things take time and effort and thought. And wouldn't it be nicer to just not have to do anything? It's like, well, you don't have to do anything. But all of these are an opportunity for you to affect the world around you, to give light to these people who are in your life, the people who have never met you. You just stumble on your podcast and hear an inspiring idea that helps them think about their life in a more mitukan way, a more holy way. What could be better than that?
L'chaim. Yep. I end off with a question. I don't know, when was the first time that you left home, that you left living at home?
First time I left living at home. Interesting question. I guess college. I guess 18, 19. Yeah. They tried to kick me out beforehand, but I kept coming back like a bad dream.
So if you were able to tell yourself, to this 18, 19-year-old version of yourself in college, one piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Yeah. What would I tell him? Buy Bitcoin at this point. What would I tell him? I really think that the most transformational piece of advice in my life, real time, real talk, that I would wish that 18-year-old knew was that it's not about what you need, it's about what you're needed for. And the entire educational system that I grew up in, and in the entire college experience, is all designed to implant this idea in your head that you need to get this degree, you need to take this class, you need to get this job. And I was blessed by having this, crazy moment, and maybe we'll talk about that another time, where I was just in very brief.
Have to do a part 2.
Yeah, part 2, where I was dating a Catholic girl, and I went to a Catholic church on Shabbos morning for a wedding. Not my wedding, thank God. But I go to this church, and I had a panic attack, and I like fainted in the middle of the service,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic, and I joke that the Jews are always messing up the ceremonies, But I had this come to Moses moment where it was just like, what am I doing with my life? And I didn't know at the time how to articulate it, but it was something along the lines of, you need to be a Jew. You are a Jew, You're here for a reason. You can't just live life like, just like you need things. You're needed. there's a call. You're a child of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Like, you have this special role in this world, you know? What are we chosen for? We're chosen to spread the knowledge and wisdom of God to the world. Not that, and again, it's not that we deserved it. We didn't do anything, you know? But the fact that we're needed, the fact that there's a mission, there's a plan, you know? I can't tell you how much anxiety there was in college, how much anxiety there was to get the good job. And it really all comes from God, you know? So, you know, I always thought that going to yeshiva was going to mess up but then, you know, this opportunity opened and this opportunity opened, and because those opportunities are always going to happen because it's God's job to make sure I have what to eat, right? He's the one who needs to feed my family. I just got to do the best I can with what I got. But once I got rid of that burden, that heaviness, and it's not about what I need, it's about what I'm needed for. It's not what I deserve, it's about who am I here to serve. You know, it's not about my existence, it's about my life. What am I living for? You know, then all the doors started opening. I got to go to yeshiva, and I got to get married and get kids and have a job, and I get to wake up every day, say Modeh, and try to take a minute to just be grateful during my davening, to just be so grateful. What are we doing when we're davening? Needs. It's like, yo, those are his needs. He's got to make it rain. That's his problem. I need to go in there and be thankful. Thank you for giving me this soul. Elokai neshama shenatata bi taharahi. It's so pure. I might have messed it up yesterday, but today I'm going to do a little better. Today I'm going to give it, you know? And I think this is the future of what I like to call the expanded Baal Tshuva movement. You know? It's not about being from birth or Baal Tshuva. We're all in the same boat. And the mentality is, a tzaddik is someone who feels like, I made it. And the Baal Tshuva feels, I'm just getting started. So, l'chaim, may we all, you know, just get started. Just getting started. Grateful. Take up a little less space and come Fabrang in Rehovot sometime.
Chaim, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of On Your Own. If you like this episode or think it will be useful to someone else, please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. I would love to connect with you. If you've got any questions, feedback, or ideas for future episodes, you can email me at onyourownpodcast@gmail.com. See you next week, and in the meantime, happy adulting.